Joining us now is the mayor of Washington, D.C., Democrat Muriel Bowser. She's scheduled to speak tonight at the Democratic National Convention as part of the program that addresses the nationwide calls for racial justice reform. It's great to see you. I absolutely adore Black Lives Matter Plaza. That you're going to go down in history for that, and it's amazing on many levels. So, preview for us, if you could, what you plan to talk about, what you hope to touch upon, or at the very least, not to give it all away, what's the impact or the message you hope that voters will receive from your talk tonight?
Well, Mika, what I will address is what everyone is talking about all across America, and that is why it's so important that we have a new president that recognizes that fanning the flames of racist systems will not make our country better. And we are having a racial reckoning in our country, and it's so important that all of us on every level, those who are elected and everyone else, is focused on how we make our country more fair and more just.
A lot of people really felt like a breaking point what happened in Lafayette Square. And when protesters were pepper sprayed or gassed, or I guess there's been now an act passed by the D.C. Council prohibited using the word chemical irritants to disperse First Amendment activities, using the irritants themselves. What is it? Is it tear gas? Can we make it clear?
Well, there are a lot of different definitions for these irritants, and our law spells out what's prohibited during a lawful protest. And it's so important, I think, that we have taken steps in Washington, D.C., cities around the country, and the Congress has a bill around policing as well. We're all very clear here. We need good constitutional policing to keep neighborhoods safe, but our residents also have to be assured that they are treated justly and fairly in our systems. We have a lot of work to do in our country, and we stand ready to do that work. And I think that part of our message tonight is that Black Lives Matter on our wonderful Black Lives Matter Plaza is important, but it's a start. It's a start to a conversation, but also a start to action. And I think that's what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris mean for our country. They get it. They recognize that we have systems to improve and some systems to tear down, and they're competent, experienced leaders who will do that. And the selection of Kamala Harris as his running mate says a lot to me about who Joe Biden is and how he sees America, and how he knows that this ticket that reflects our country will just make all of us very excited to go out and vote, because we're going to have some obstacles to overcome on Election Day.
And I just touching on that in terms of the message that you want to send to people who want to peacefully protest, who may have been treated badly at certain stages during this whole time since George Floyd's death. If you look at what's happening in Portland, also last Thursday in Washington, D.C., 40 people were arrested. What is your message to protesters in terms of how they need to carry out their protests and how that can get muddled and things can turn ugly real quick?
Well, we know, sadly, that there's some people that are not really there to protest or to demand racial justice, but to create havoc and sometimes destruction. And there's no place in America that's going to allow their city or their town to be torn down or to allow fires and the like. And so people who are not following the law will be subject to arrest to keep everybody else safe. And that's what we saw in Washington. So we want people to be peaceful, to follow the laws, but not to destroy our town.
We'll be watching you tonight, Mayor Muriel Bowser. Thank you so much for being on the show with us this morning. And that does it for us this morning. Stephanie Ruhle picks up the coverage right now.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.